What's up, everybody? This is Trey Biddy with HawgSports.com, HawgSports.com. Well, I have played the EA Sports College Football 25 game. I'm going to offer my review, some of my takes on it, the gameplay, Arkansas player ratings, some of the things about tradition and stuff like that. We'll talk all about that, and we're going to answer your questions, of course. We've got Danny West coming in to talk a little bit about recruiting, and, of course, Arkansas football coming up, SEC Media Days. I will be there, not there right now, but I will be there for Arkansas. All that and more in today's episode of Hawg Sports Live. Hey, before we get started, I want to remind everybody today is the last day, actually. So I've got my TV up over here with all the player ratings and EA Sports games. So I keep looking over there, but I got to look at the camera. So today's the last day to get Hawg Sports for 50% off. Again, that's HawgSports.com. So that breaks down to $1.03 a week, $4.48 a month, and billed at just $53.70 for the entire year. There's two ways to sign up. You can also sign up for $1 the first month. The thing I like about the $1 deal, you sign up for that, you find out you like it because that's how we get you. We get you in on the $1 deal, and you're like, okay, this is good. But once you do that, you get Paramount Plus for free. Once that first month is up and you go to the regular rate, which is, I believe, $9.95 a month, you get Paramount Plus for absolutely free, which is $100 value. I believe it's $9.95 a month. So either way you look at it, you're getting Hawg Sports for free or Paramount Plus for free. So a lot of great programming on there. So it's a heck of a deal to get, one free, however you want to look at it. But the 50% off deal is pretty sweet too. I mean, $53.70, $1.03 a week for everything that you're going to get with recruiting, with the college football season coming up, with basketball season, just a ton of great stuff at Hawg Sports. And come check us out. Find out what you're missing at HawgSports.com. Okay, right into it. So I'm a PS5 guy, PlayStation guy. I've been playing college football games, since Matt Walsh. Since they were on Nintendo, Super Nintendo, and Sega Genesis way back then. Before that, I was playing Tecmo Super Bowl. So I played a lot of college football games. What I'll say about this on the gameplay, it's actually really smooth. I really like, everything feels very true. You will throw interceptions on this. If you're playing at like an All-American or especially a Heisman level, you're going to throw picks in this game if you're throwing into traffic. Like if you're in desperation mode, like you're not just going to march down the field and score real quick. You'll throw picks. So I've played – the first thing I did when I started the game, and we'll talk about regular football, real life football too, so get your questions in now. But the first thing I noticed, or first thing I did when I played the game, I opened it up. I went through all of Arkansas. I put, the player ratings up there for everybody to see because I know some people don't have the game yet. Some people may be just interested to see what the player ratings are. But so I went on there to see. So just a few of the key guys here. Taylor Green is an 81 overall, which makes him pretty average. Now, actually, this may have changed a little bit because I'm looking at my Dynasty, and it looks like he's up a tick. So he may have gone up 1 point. So that may not be actually accurate, but pretty close to this anyway. So he's an 81 overall. He's a 91 speed. He is a 89 acceleration. What I've found with Talon so far is you can really hurt people running the ball with him. I mean, like you really can. And it took me a few games to kind of adjust to that. I've played a little bit with Malachi Singleton just because Talon got hurt for a little bit. They do have like injuries as the game progresses or, the season progresses. They've got things that they're dealing with, which is pretty realistic. I doubt they put any head injuries. I haven't seen any of that in here, but have seen a lot of body parts getting banged up. But Talon is an 81 overall. His throwing power is a 94. His awareness is an 87, which I believe is pretty good. I don't see throwing accuracy. They've got like different levels of throwing accuracy. They've got like mid range and deep throwing accuracy, short throwing accuracy, on the run, all that kind of stuff. So that's Talon. Jaquindon Jackson on here now is an 88. I don't believe that's what he started out as, though. I need to get back to just look at regular roster. I don't know how to do that because everything is altered a little bit. See if I go to straight play a game. And just go to play now, but I'll bring it up. So I'll talk about a couple of things. Is that Dynasty? No. Okay, play now. All right, so I'll talk about a couple of things on here. The gameplay I think is really smooth again. What I noticed about the game when you're starting it, like you have to watch the intro, or at least I haven't figured out how to skip the intro. So you're going to have to watch the whole intro every single time you play the game. And when the quarter ends, you have to watch whatever graphics they put up. You can't just like skip ahead real quick. And halftime is actually pretty drawn out. So a lot of different things like that. I noticed in Razorback Stadium in the grandstands, like on one side, the fans feel kind of tilted a little bit. I also never heard the hog call. I heard them reference the hog call in the announcements, but I never heard the hog call, which I thought was really interesting for a game that's talking so much about tradition and, if it's in the game, it's in the game, all this kind of stuff. However, I played a game against Texas A&M because I wanted to see AT&T Stadium. Just, I didn't play it. I just, wanted to see the stadium. So I started it up. I did a little bit. I kicked off. And when I kicked off, they did woo pig suey. It's like kind of rushed. It's not like how it would traditionally be, like where it's just long and drawn out and woo leading up all the way to the kickoff. All right. So I've got it here on just a regular exhibition. So coaching. I also find it a little clunky moving around stuff. Like I go backwards on accident a lot. Like there's a lot of L1 and R1 for moving back and forth instead of the D-pad. Depth chart. Okay. So Talon is an 80 overall. He's a 91 speed. He's an 89 acceleration. There's so many things on here. I can remember back in the day when there was like, 6 or 7 items, but there's a ton. I can't find his throwing. His strength. His strength is an 86. All right, let's go to Jaquindon Jackson. Jaquindon is an 89 speed. He's a 93 acceleration. That's pretty good. He's an 86 overall. So that makes him a pretty solid back on this game. Not an elite back. I played with Oklahoma State. We'll talk about where my dynasty is here in a minute. Rashad Dubinion is a 79. I've had some success with Rashad. Rashad is a 90 speed, 95 acceleration, so he can get up to speed pretty quick. Jaquindon is an 86 break tackle, and Dubinion is an 80. Braylon Russell didn't get a lot of love. He's only a 70 on here. Rodney Hill is a 78. They also have a fullback position, which they just basically move anybody and they rank them based on how they fit into that. Andrew Armstrong is an 85, so okay. Would have liked to seen him a little bit higher, 91 speed. But I understand, like, is Andrew Armstrong an NFL player? He's probably borderline on the back end, so maybe an 85 is about right. 90 acceleration, 90 awareness, 77 break tackle. Where's his catching? He's a 93 on catch. Isaac Teslaw is an 87 catch. Isaiah Satania is an 80 catch. And Kevin Kelly's in this game with an EY. Kevin Kelly, the Sheridan head coach, doesn't spell his name like that. But there's a couple of guys on here that I've never heard of that they just created, I guess, to fill out the 85 roster. But like others like Danny Salee, the defensive tackle, he's missing on here. Let me get some more speed ratings for some of these wide receivers for you. So Teslaw is an 86 speed. Satania is a 95 speed. Broden's a 90 on speed. Acceleration, Teslaw is 87. Satania is 96. Broden is 88. So some good speed ratings. Luke Has is an 88 overall, which is probably pretty good. He's a sophomore. He'll be, like, when his career is finished, 2 years, if he's still here for 2 years, his overall will be like upper 90s, probably at least 95, I would think, at bare minimum. But his speed's kind of low. It's an 80s and 90 acceleration. So Ty Washington's an 82. Varquise Gums is a 75. The offensive line is not very good on here. 79 for Fernando Carmona. I thought he might have been a little bit higher. Left guard Patrick Kudus is 82. He's the highest overall ranked player on here. Addison Nichols is an 81 for offensive line. Josh Braun is a 78. Keyshawn Blackstock is a 77. So that's your starting offensive line. The best players we already know on the game is Landon Jackson, who is a 91 overall, 76 speed, 88 strength, 87 acceleration, 95 awareness. Quincy Rose behind him is a 76. Charlie Collins is the best freshman for Arkansas. He's a 76 overall. So he got the most love there. Anton Junekaj is actually rated above Nico Davier, who's he's a 77 overall. Davier is a 75. Kavion Henderson's only a 68. He's a 4-star recruit, only getting a 68. Eric Gregory is an 84. Cam Ball is an 82. And then Tim Kovic is somebody they made up as a 71. Kiwi Rose is a 77. Ian Jaffard is a 71. At linebacker, they have the best linebacker, outside linebacker. So it's kind of weird when you get to linebacker because, Arkansas runs a 4-2-5, but they have left outside linebacker. The best one on here is Alex Sanford is 73. It's Xavier Sori is a 79, but it kind of mixes it up a lot. Brad Spence is a 77, but they've got Brad Spence at right outside linebacker. I don't know. Xavier Sori is an 80 overall at middle linebacker. It changes a little bit depending on where they move them. And at right outside linebacker, Spence is a 77 at right outside linebacker. And then Brody Flynn, not sure who that is. He's a 72. So they've got a few fill-ins. Jalen Braxton is an 84, 92 speed, 95 acceleration. Marquise Robinson's an 80. James Singletary's an 80. TJ Metcalf, he's listed as a cornerback. Why is he a cornerback? He should be a safety. Hudson Clark is the best defensive back on the game for Arkansas. He's an 85. 90 speed, 90 agility, 95 acceleration. Maybe a little generous for old Hudson, but the awareness, 85, that's probably pretty good. Maybe he should be a little higher. Danico Slaughter's an 80. Strong safety. Anthony Switzer's the starting strong safety, the transfer from Utah State. He's an 83. They got Jaden Johnson as a 79. Miguel Mitchell is a 77. And then Matthew Shipley's a 77. Brennan Kimmy, I don't know who that is. He's the punter on here. But they just created a walk-on punter, I guess. He's a 73. So Isaiah Satania is actually the highest rated player overall because he's a 95 as a kick returner. He's a 94 as a punt returner. So my dynasty right now, so I wrote about this a little bit. My dynasty is the recruiting side of things is going really well. I really enjoy the recruiting. I always really got into it, and I love the progressions that they had year over year with improving recruiting. But there's different things you can do, like unlocking. You can do like scout players, so you can tell a little bit about a player, like their ability levels before. And there's this thing called like gem and bust. So like as you're scouting them, you can tell if they're maybe a bust and shouldn't be ranked as high as they are, or a gem. It's rated on, just like you would see on 24/7 Sports, 4-star, 5-star, 3-star, all that stuff. But that's pretty cool that you can scout them, and there's different options. So like when you're recruiting them week to week, you can send the house, you can get in their DMs on social media, or, do something with their family, I think, and then they have different things that they like about that they're looking for in schools. And there are guys that are going to be interested in you right away. There's going to be guys that aren't, that you can try to work your way up on. I've had success doing that a little bit. I think if you really want a guy, then you just kind of got to send the house after him. But I'm in some pretty good shape with some guys, some quarterbacks and running backs, and, wide receiver, I've done really well. They seem to be really intrigued with Bobby Petrino offense, although it's the Trey Biddy offense. I'm a head coach on there. You can be a head coach, a defensive coordinator, or an offensive coordinator, however you want to start it. So the first thing I did was, after I went down and like looked at all the ratings and stuff, the first thing I did after that was played a game against Oklahoma State on varsity level. So that's the second highest level. And I played it in Razorback Stadium just because I wanted to see Razorback Stadium, right? So that's the first thing I did. I won that game fairly handily. It wasn't a rout, but I won. And then I went right into Dynasty. Arkansas, of course, with the Dynasty mode. Whipped UAPB, which is not UAPB on here. They don't have the FCS schools. It's FCS Northwest. I think they were called I can't remember what they were called, something stupid, but I beat them 53-0. It took me a little while to get going. I think it was only 7-0 in the first quarter, but ended up beating them 53-0, which is probably what Arkansas should do against UAPB. And then I took the show on the road to Oklahoma State, which is ranked number 13. I will say I held them to 20 rushing yards on 25 carries. Ollie Gordon, best running back in the country, but they beat me 42-35. One reason for that, I threw 4 interceptions. You will throw intercept. And by the way, I'm on All-American, not varsity. So Heisman level, All-American, varsity, and then rookie or freshman, I guess. But I'm playing on All-American level, which is, a pretty difficult level. I will say this about the computer. It's like playing a real person. I mean, they're not stupid. They're not, it's not like you can't just get away with stuff against them. They make smart decisions. It's a real challenge playing the computer. So that's something I really like about it. So if you can't get a game, which you can nowadays because you can always play online, but the thing is, sometimes when you play online, you get some turd who turns the game off when they start losing. It happens all the time. It's so annoying. But playing against the computer is not bad. You can get better. I feel like if you didn't know that you weren't playing against the computer, you might think you were playing against a real person. So that's good. But I lost to Oklahoma State 42-35 in a shootout. Taylor Green was 23 of 33 passing, 69% for 336 yards, 2 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. And again, like, if you throw into traffic, you're going to get intercepted. And it's not like the linebacker jumps up 10 feet in the air and intercepts it like in the middle of the field when you're throwing 20 yards past him. It's not something like that. It's like, making a mistake, feeling hurried, feeling pressured, and you throw a pick. If you're the away team, you really feel it on this controller. It's really rattling. Kicks are extremely difficult because you have to aim. You can't just like aim and then release. You have to continue to aim, and then you hit the button where you want it to go, and then you have to release at the right time. And if you release it too high or off, then it's just a huge shank. So it's hard to kick field goals. I've missed some extra points, not really thinking about it and paying attention, and actually went up too far. And so that happens. I didn't ignore the run. I went 16 times for 66 yards with Quentin Jackson. I feel like in a 5-minute quarter game, you're going to be able to play and produce realistic stats for the most part. This game, I think I had 58 total plays. There's other games where I had over 60. But you can run the ball without feeling rushed. And actually, I had, let's see, with, I ran Green 22 times for 114 yards and 4 touchdowns against UAPB. And in that game, I had 42 carries for 200 yards, 449 yards total offense. That's 5-minute quarters. And so to me, I think that's something like people are like, you should play so many. You can play 5 minutes and produce plenty of stats and not just like ridiculous or like I'm averaging probably like 4 yards a carry with Jaquindon Jackson too. It's not like he's averaging 8, 9, 10 yards a carry or something like you'd see maybe some older games. So the stats come out fairly realistic, in my opinion. I was in a shootout with UAPB. I only won 47-35. They have 2 guys, Andre Thomas and Cam Shanks, who I couldn't stop. They both went over 100 yards receiving and a couple of touchdowns. Then I went on the road to Auburn. Auburn beat me 31-21, despite holding them to 332 yards to my 374. 29 carries for 197 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. Green was 21 of 33 for 177 yards, 1 touchdown, 4 interceptions. I bet I've thrown 10 interceptions with him already. So I haven't played against Texas A&M yet. That's next. I'm anxious to do that because I want to get my recruiting weekend. That's one of the fun things. But last night when I was playing, I looked down at the clock and suddenly it was 1:11. That's the problem with video games. It's like the time just drifts away. And, I haven't really gotten better at anything except for playing a video game against the computer. It's not like I put in a bunch of work playing golf and it's going to pay off, So anyway, but it's fun to play. I really enjoyed it. I think I mentioned the hog call. They've referenced the hog call, but it's never in the game. Like the only time it was the kickoff for some reason in Arlington. I couldn't get it to play in the home venue. But also I noticed this. So I played one game and it was a stripe out. I didn't set it to do that. It's just a stripe out. So 100% crowd participation, which you never see. You never see everybody getting a memo that it's a stripe out, right? So, but anyway, I thought it was really fun. I think the running is pretty fluid. Like as long as you're like have the mindset of like get 4 yards and then worry about the rest and not trying to score a touchdown every time, then you can have success. You can have success with a jet sweep. I find that a good safety valve in a lot of cases, it doesn't work always, it depends on the defense, but I find like it's important if you got at least somebody running a curl route. I've had a lot of success throwing curl routes. I have not had a lot of success throwing over the middle of the field and trying to force stuff for sure. So anyway, that's my impressions on the game. I'm sure you got a lot of comments on that and other things. SEC Media Day is coming up for Arkansas football soon. I will be there. So I've decided to just utterly torture myself. I have a 5:00 flight in the morning on Thursday. I just kind of balance it out. Like, do I pay $250 for 2 nights in a hotel room, or do I just fly down to Dallas, in and out? I like the in and out. So flying down at 5:00, and then I have like a 4:00 flight out of Dallas. So Arkansas starts, I think Pittman takes the podium at 9:30, 9:35, something like that. So I'll be cutting it pretty close. I got 3.5 hours before it all starts. So between when I land and everything, so I should be fine as long as I don't have any delays, but it is a morning flight. So anyway, I'll be there. I like going to SEC Media Days. I usually stay for the whole thing, except for I usually cut out early the last day. The fact that they put Arkansas on the last day just kind of ruined the whole thing for me because, I'm just there for, 4 days straight. It's not cheap when everything is transcribed for me and on television too. So that's kind of the way I decided to do it. All right. Y'all want to get to Danny West first before we get to your questions? Let's do Danny next. So still haven't gotten Danny to the studio side of things, but we're getting there. Hope to have that soon. We'll have Danny in studio. All right. For those of you who don't follow Danny, you can follow him at Danny West on X. He's the HawgSports recruiting analyst, been with us for a long time. And if you want to read his content, you do need a VIP subscription to read most of it. Danny, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How are y'all? You?
We're all doing good. We're all doing good.
How many you got over there?
We got 724 right now listening to you.
Yeah, good. Good.
Yeah. Well, we've been talking about, I don't know if I may get a bunch of comments about people not caring about the college football game, but I've been talking about it for the last, how long have I gone here?
Wait till I start talking about recruiting.
Yeah, well, Danny, those may not know, but I didn't do the show last week because I've been on vacation. I always try to get on vacation before the storm hits. So it's very important, but I'm kind of playing catch up a little bit these last couple of days. So I guess you can kind of fill me in and fill everybody else in what's going on.
Yeah, in the world of recruiting, got a few more announcement dates coming up. That's always fun to watch. Got an interesting one here with Kelshawn Johnson today at 5:30. Trey, this one's had to be rescheduled so many times. Of course, the 4-star out of Hitchcock, Texas. I don't know if you know where that's at, but I looked it up, and it's right on the water. It's right there beside Galveston, and of course, with everything going on down there, he's had to reschedule this thing like several times now. So still not feeling great about Arkansas today at 5:30. I think Texas A&M still owns the crystal ball. And of course it's a Texas kid. Got the Longhorns still making a late push for him there. So we'll find out today on Kelshawn. We'll find out in 10 days on LJ Prudhomme. That's Lionel Prudhomme Jr. He's on July 26th. So 10 days out from him. Interior offensive lineman out of Shreveport, obviously made an official at Arkansas this summer. He's been here for, unofficials and the like. He's got Arkansas, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Texas Tech, I want to say Houston and Tulane. And again, that's coming up in 10 days. Got another one now that just popped up last week while you were out and about, Trey. Reginald Vaughn. He's a composite 4-star defensive lineman out of Madison, Mississippi, Hartfield Academy down there. And, he only took one official visit this summer, Trey, and it was to Arkansas on June 21st. And now he's ready to make a decision. Might be worth watching on July 27th, obviously the same day as Arkansas's Hog Wild Cookout on the Hill. So got a lot coming up there and a lot to look for. And that's without mentioning Nelson McGuire announcing on July 31st. I think that's Arkansas, K-State, maybe Texas Tech still battling there. And then, of course, Cameron Settles, we've talked about August 3rd. His birthday coming up, going to announce then. He's the running back out of Parkview. And obviously we've seen Quentin Murphy pick Arkansas. We've seen O'Marion Robinson go with Oklahoma, and now Montario Elston picking K-State. This is one, Cameron Settles, that I still feel pretty good about with Arkansas. So got a chance to make it 2 running back commitments if you get him. And they're sitting at 16 right now. So got a chance to ease up to 20 before the start of fall camp here.
It amazes me, Danny, like you've got O'Marion Robinson going to Oklahoma, but Arkansas got Tavian Wallace all the way from Georgia.
It's crazy.
Does everybody just want to get out of their own state or something?
I think there's a little bit to that, but I've thought about it too, Trey, and I think there's something to the idea, and I'm just spitballing here, kind of thinking out loud. Where do you hear most of the hot seat talk? It's within the state, right?
Yes.
I mean, a lot of kids outside of the state, they're not keeping up with all the, is he going to be fired? Who's next? That type of, we live and die on that every day in Arkansas. But, I think there's a little bit to that too. And kids hear more of it, and maybe that's impacted them a little bit inside the state. I would imagine it has. That's probably a safe bet.
Danny, they've got 16 commitments right now. When Tavian Wallace committed, Arkansas jumped all the way up to 24th nationally, which was a huge, huge leap. That just shows how important in the rankings elite prospects are. He's the number 39 overall prospect in the country. They're currently 32. They have 16 commits. Where do you see this balancing out in terms of the numbers in this class? Because last year, wasn't it 17? Didn't they end? I mean, I think they went maybe higher than that and then dropped back down. But you think they'll sign close to 25 this year, or are you looking for maybe somewhere around 20?
Yeah, the trend, I looked it up the other day, and I want to say in the last 3 years they haven't signed more than 21. Maybe it was 22. But we haven't seen them get really, it's marginal at that point, but anywhere close to 25 really in a while. Mm-hmm. So having said that, I think this one kind of feels like it's probably going to go beyond 22, just looking at what's left and what could happen for them down the stretch. And of course, that's without even looking at some of the JUCO targets they're working already behind the scenes and kind of prepping some of those guys who might be graduating in December. So I would think, to answer your question, I think this is probably your best chance to get right at 25. I'm not saying they're going to get that, but it just seems like it's filled up a little faster than I anticipated. And I think they've probably got a little more room to play with than maybe I thought too. So, yeah, I could see this being somewhere in the neighborhood of 24 in the end, 23, 24.
23 or 24. Yeah, and that's kind of what Pittman wanted last year, but I guess it changed with and who knows what happens, Danny. I mean, if there's a coaching change, then every out of state recruit on this list is probably not going to be on. I'm sure they're going to try to really get Tavian Wallace to stick on board, but it'll be really hard to keep, even Kamari Williams, Blake Cherry, some of these guys who are outside the state. It'll be difficult for a new staff to keep them on board, and they may have ideas of other guys that they had committed at what other school they were at. But I've said this before too, Danny. Like there's no room for O'Marion Robinson or Carius Kern or any of those guys on this roster if there's a coaching change. They're not going to be on this roster because the change is too quick. I mean, you're going to have Arkansas most likely without a coach, unless there's people have idea that Bobby Petrino would be ascended to head coach and stuff. I'm not sure about that or not, but the signing day is 6 days after the last game of the regular season. You're not going to have a coach on board most likely. So those guys are probably going to go ahead and sign. And, the only way you get those guys is if Arkansas turns things around and that, Sam Pittman's going to be fired talk ceases. That's the only way, because so if, you want Carius Kern to be a part of this roster, I don't understand people who would ever root against Arkansas because they want a coaching change. I mean, why would you do that? Like, cheer for the
I'm
coach.
out on that stuff, man.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean,
it's July 16th. I started getting excited about football.
Exactly.
I don't care what happened. It's time to get ready for football. I ain't trying to get anybody fired.
Exactly. That frustrates me so much when people have that narrative. But want Sam Pittman to do well. I want them to win. I want to cover a winning team. I want to go to a nice, fun bowl game. I want to cover a nice, fun recruiting class. I want to see some flips. I don't want to just see this thing torpedo and start over again. But, obviously if things go south, then that's a different story. And it is what it is. But starting from point A, let's win as many games as we can. Nobody predicted Missouri. Didn't you have a story, Danny? Nobody predicted Missouri went 6-6. Like Eli Drinkwitz would have been fired if he'd have gone 6-6 again. I think he went like 5-7, 6-6, 6-6. I think that was his record. And then 11-2. But nobody had them going 11-2 last year. So it can happen. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but nobody predicted Arkansas in 2006 to win 10 games. Nobody predicted 1998 Arkansas to do what they did. So it can happen. 1995 Arkansas is another example. It can happen.
3 years ago, buddy, they were picked 6th in the West, finished 3rd, won 9 games, came within a 2-point conversion of winning 10. I mean, that's a great year at Arkansas.
Mm-hmm. Danny, I haven't read your article yet. I noticed the headline.
I think it's right up your alley.
You read it. You wrote it. I think you ran it at 6 o'clock this morning.
Well, I wrote it at about 4 o'clock this morning. Just one of those that, you get in the rabbit hole. You're like, oh, what happened in 2019 that's relevant now?
Some of my best articles started off not being anything close to what I thought I was going to write about.
That's right. Yeah, same here.
Yeah. So obviously you kind of went down that road a little bit about, teams that performed above what they were expected.
Yeah, above and below. The point I was looking for was, there's seems to be, in my mind anyway, going into it before the research, it felt like there were always probably 2 teams in both divisions, which divisions are no longer, every year, that would do way better or way worse. So I started trying to look for these. And sure enough, they were pretty easy to find. And really what ended up being my point in the end was close games, the correlation with close games and how clear it is, teams that win close games. And it's not groundbreaking stuff here. You win more close games, you win more total games. But just some of the stats behind the close game records, insane to me. To see Arkansas last year go 1-5 in 1-score games. Missouri and Ole Miss both went 4-0. There's the difference.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of close games, a bunch.
I always looked at, and I did this one year too, a long time ago. So, I mean, it's been a while, but like there was a real correlation with turnovers, like turnover margin and wins for like programs like Arkansas and Missouri and stuff, like where, that makes a huge difference in the outcome of games. These games are so close. And I think people forget a little bit about Arkansas last year. Like they should not have lost to BYU at home. That was BYU won 5 games last year. Should not have lost that game. But they rallied the next week. I mean, they came out and played really hard against LSU, especially that first half, all but the last 18 seconds when Jaden Daniels led them down the field right before half. But, the offense played well, and LSU's defense wasn't very good last year. But, I mean, they came out and battled. Like, they didn't just let go of the rope. And that wasn't the case. Texas A&M, I just felt like outplayed them the next week. But that wasn't a rout. Ole Miss, 1 score. Alabama, 1 score. I mean, the list goes on until, I think you get towards the end of the season and people start looking at that transfer portal and where they're going to end up and probably some tampering going on. Yeah, there's no question it slipped away. Starting with Auburn, they just did not want to be out there. I'm not saying everybody, but enough players didn't want to be out there, and that's the reason. Auburn.
I didn't either.
What did Auburn do the next week? They went home and lost to New Mexico State.
To New Mexico State by 21 points.
Yeah.
And then played Alabama to 3 points and then lost to Maryland by 18. I mean, Auburn's one of those teams, but I can't figure them out.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're going to be at quarterback, but, man, they were hard to explain last year. It seemed like, when they came in and beat Arkansas, that was their 3rd SEC win in a row. And then it just – what happened? So I would question how the culture might be going down there a little bit.
Yeah. Well, it's hard for me to judge any school on the first year of the head coach.
Sure.
I mean, Petrino won 5 games and almost lost to Louisiana Monroe and Western Carolina. Yeah.
Yeah. Just
Steve
rare to
Steve
see 'em go
Sarkisian
backwards.
had a losing record in his first year, you know.
Yeah. Week 2 was rough on him that year.
Yeah. It was.
Hey, speaking of week 2, Trey, I'll let you go on a positive stat that I found the other day.
Okay.
Might give you a little hope for Stillwater in week 2.
Okay.
Arkansas, believe this or not, Arkansas is 10-3 against Big 12 teams in the last 13 meetings.
Huh.
Yeah, the caveat, of course, is Bobby Petrino beat A&M 3 years in a row, so that's included in that. But, you know, they've actually had some pretty good success against, think about Texas Tech going out there one year.
Yeah.
You know, Kansas State beat them a couple times, Kansas in the bowl game, and, of course, those 3 A&M wins seem like forever ago. But
do you ever think about this, Danny, with Texas Tech? I mean, they had on this, I guess, the same roster. They had what's the dude's name? He played for, got drafted number 1, Mayfield.
And
Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
And
not bad.
I don't think they ever won more than 7 games, did they?
That's a good point. Yeah, Kingsbury, I think that was his ceiling. 7. Seemed like he would win 7 every year, but that's about it. Had the greatest player of all time, in my opinion.
Well, he's great. He's great. He's great, but you should have just hung up. Not even answered me.
Yeah.
All right, Danny. Appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, man. See you.
All right, everybody, that's Danny West. Again, if you want to read Danny West content, you need a subscription to HawgSports, and it's 50% off right now. Again, that's HawgSports.com, or $1 for your first month. It's a great time to sign up because, well, first of all, today's the last day of this promo, and SEC football media days, recruiting still going strong. You heard Danny talk about some of the guys that are about to decide, and the football season. You're going to love our fall camp coverage. I'm hoping that we get a lot of access to fall camp. We got tremendous access in spring football. We haven't had that level of access since Bobby Petrino was at Arkansas before, and when he would open up the whole spring. So that was really, I say the whole spring. I think we had 13 of the 15 practices were open, which is pretty solid, including all the scrimmages. So hopefully we'll get, I wouldn't expect that level of access, but hopefully we'll get some good quality access. There's so many new players out there. Of course, a lot of them already enrolled, but there's a lot more that came later, and get a good look at them, get some video, my impressions of those players and stuff like that. So go to HawgSports and you can get all that stuff. And, you know, we put a lot of great stuff on this show, but we're pretty much on there 24/7. So answering questions on the Razor's Edge and whatnot. All right, let's get to a few comments here. We'll see if we got anything really interesting. No, Heartbroken Hog, I'm not playing. Heartbroken Hog wants to know if I'm about to play the game. I don't have a Twitch account, but I guess I could get one and start live streaming. But it's been really fun. Like when I get done with this, I'm going to hop on and play Texas A&M and do my week of recruiting. And that's my plan when I'm done. Just missing the walk and talks after I smoked Oklahoma State. See, that's what they need. Like, if you want to have the traditions, first of all, like, I don't understand why they can do Texas A&M, because I saw them doing that, which is their deal. And they can't do the hog call. You do jazz fingers. Okay, that's a question I have, but while I'm doing this, like, I've seen like people describe it like you do. I always did this. You do that? You do jazz fingers or jazz hands? I guess it looks kind of the same, but I don't know. But anyway, I don't understand why they don't have that in the game. But again, they do have it on the kickoff, but it just kind of goes whoop, pig, suey, like that instead of the long drawn out. Wish that was in the game. Josh Pate, he admits he had loved the Hogs. Get him on the show ASAP. So I've had Josh Pate on the Walk and Talk. He's actually the only guest I've ever had with me on the Walk and Talk. He came up for the Arkansas-Cincinnati game 2 years ago. He was treated like royalty. I know Jordan Wright over at Wright's Barbecue, they just basically laid out a huge spread. I called Jordan and let him know. It's like, hey, Josh Pate's coming. He's a big deal in college football. We want to treat him right. And he absolutely did. He raved about that. Let's see. Pat, Doty? Why am I spacing on his name? Patrick Doherty at who's director of football operations, let Josh Pate into the Arkansas football weight room. I was trying to find him a spot like at FAC or something, like trying to find him a place because he was looking for somewhere to work out, and they let him work out in the Razorback weight room, sideline access. And he even said after the trip, he has not been treated as well as he was at Arkansas. So yeah, he's a big Arkansas fan. That's how you get somebody. That's how you get somebody on your side. You treat them well. Josh Pate's a good person to have on your corner. Tim Hudson says this is absolutely the content we needed from Trey today. Let's see. Who do you think is a player that will be a breakout star this year? All right, so breakout, potential player breakout. Varkey's Gums could have a breakout year. I think we're going to see a lot of 2 tight end sets with Varkey's Gums. Varkey's Gums on my Dynasty is a threat to transfer. It tells you like players that are a threat to transfer because of playing time on my Dynasty. But I think he could be like, breakout's a strong word. So but I think he could have a really good year. He was really impressive in the spring. I think Braylon Russell could have a really good year. Jaquindon Jackson, I expect to be a workhorse type of back, but you need more than one. And I really think Braylon can bring a lot to the table. It's time for Isaiah Satania to step into a big role. I look for Andrew Armstrong to continue to produce well. Brad Spence on defense. I think, has a chance to lead them in tackles this year. I think they're going to use him in a lot of different ways. And I'll throw you a freshman, another freshman on defense, Tevis Metcalf. Watch out for Tevis Metcalf. I think he's got a chance to play. Honcho Razorback says, how's your Dynasty recruiting going? My Dynasty recruiting is going really well, actually. I'm pleased with where I am. I'm not on any 5 stars. I got locked out by a quarterback over program prestige, like in the middle of recruiting him. He just locked me out. And, I've got a gym quarterback from El Dorado, Arkansas, who I had to really convince. I wasn't even on his board. He wasn't even interested in me, and I had to really just put the house in on him. Good at running back. I've got 3 top-tier wide receivers that are 4 stars that are all really fast, that are interested. I'm doing well on the defensive line. I've got a couple of tight ends that I've slowly built up on. Do people really care about this? I don't know if they do. And I got a really good free safety also. I'm struggling at middle linebacker. I'm struggling with all the linebacker spots and cornerback right now, but I figure maybe I'll hit the transfer portal when that opens up and take care of that. It's been kind of fun. I mean, it's been a lot of fun. It's kind of fun. I've been waiting for 11 years for this game to come out. Like, me and my buddies used to all play, like, back before there was online Dynasty. We were in college and we're playing like in the early 2000s and, all that stuff. We're playing Dynasty mode. We're all competing against each other. And I remember 98 when it was just like you put what you wanted, what you were looking for at different positions, and like you just get guys, but we were all playing Dynasty mode and all that stuff. And I've done some online Dynasties and stuff. So really, really excited about the game. Tony Yayo says, Yayo, does Trey still do his customary walk and talk commentary? I do. I'll do it in Dallas also. I'll do it after Arkansas football media days. But so the walk and talk, people always ask me, I should do more of it and stuff. But I like doing the studio show like this. The walk and talk is usually best when it's backed by some emotion, whether it's anger or sadness or joy or something like that. And it's hard just to I'm going to do a walk and talk, and I don't have anything to be really upbeat about or down about or something like that. So that's why I pretty much reserve the walk and talk for that. By the way, if you're interested in advertising on this show, hit me up, Trey at HawgSports.com, HawgSports.com. If you're interested in advertising the walk and talk, then hit me up on that too. That's not something I'll do real involved or anything on the walk and talk. Just, a mention, maybe wrap something up at the end of the show. I wouldn't mind having a car dealership. If you're a dealership and you want to do the walk and talk, I am walking to my car. It could be a car that you provide, and I could show everybody just an idea. If you're a dealership out there listening, let's talk about it. Derek E. Fry says, I played UCF last night, had 1 pick and 2 sacks on KJ, no huddle offense, 121-20 on All-American mode. So glad the game is back. So, yeah, Derek, you see, I mean, the game is not easy. It's not an easy game to play on All-American mode. I mean, it's like you can't just march in there and just like start dominating people with an 84 overall program when you're playing somebody that's like a 90 overall or something. You're going to really struggle to win that game, which I think makes it super realistic. Yeah, I mean, it's when I was playing Auburn, like I was marching down to win and like, throw a pick at the end of the game and lose the game because of it. But that's what it should be. It shouldn't just be like, I don't know if you can turn the game. I don't like turning the game off. Like I hate that. So, but I don't know if this has like an auto save. I hope it does, like an auto save. So you can't just like start over or something. Okay, so Lane Freeland says, "I have heard the hog call on pick and plays." Okay, good. So good. It's in. I promise you, I did not hear it at all, except for referenced by the announcers until I played or I started to play that game in AT&T Stadium just to see AT&T, which AT&T Stadium looks fantastic. By the way, it looks really good on there. Tim Hudson says he also heard the hog call, but it's way too quiet and doesn't sound like it was recorded from a real game. Yeah. Like, why not just record it from a real game and insert it? I agree. The kickoff definitely doesn't sound like it. It's just woo pig suey. No Big Red. There's no Big Red in the game. You might be right. I don't remember seeing Big Red. I remember seeing the Oklahoma State Cowboy. I'm not sure what his name is, but I don't remember seeing Big Red. Appreciate you, Aaron. Says a big fan, been following for years. Appreciate you, Aaron. Wojciechowski. Tony Yayo says PS5 too expensive, at least $550 after taxes. It is expensive, but you guys have heard me talk about this game, right? Tax write-off, business expense for HawgSports. No massive flag run out. Hog calls are sporadic. Yeah. War Memorial Stadium is not going to be in the game. No. It wasn't in the game anyway. I played FCS, whatever, Northwest, and it wasn't in the game. It sucks you can't play more than one team in the 30-year Dynasty. Won't even let you play non-user games. And yeah, I mean, it doesn't bug me too bad. No, War Memorial's not in. A lot of comment. What's TG rated? I think I said he was an 80. Let's see. I find this a little clunky, by the way. Like, I want to be able to just scroll faster, and it's like slow. So I find some of the controls a little clunky. Taylor Green's an 80 overall, 91 speed, 89 acceleration. He's a weapon running the ball. Like, you sit back, like I'll run some like all streaks or something like that and let everybody get downfield and take off. And it's, I mean, it doesn't work every time, but you can edit the made up guy, says Boudreaux the trucker. Yes, you wouldn't be able to do that, I guess, in online play. Bobby hating on Hudson Clark. Hey, Hudson Clark is, I've said it for 3 years, he's far from the worst problem they have in the secondary. And he was actually pretty good last year. He's not going to the NFL. He's not making all SEC, but he's been a pretty good player for Arkansas and catches way too much hate. As I like to say, every time it rains, people blame Hudson Clark. It's trash. You can't play on PC, though. I can't remember the last time they had a college football game on PC. Like, I feel like maybe College Football 98 was available on PC. Tony Yo-Yo says is playing defense tough. It can be, yeah. I have like, so there's some things you can do like predicting, like run up the middle or pass. And when I do that and I'm wrong, I've found that I really pay for it. So But somebody said on here tackling is really difficult. I haven't had a hard time tackling, but there's still some things I'm adjusting, like RPO game and stuff. I have not got that down. I'm still like finding, my plays. Probably would like to have like, 20 plays or something that I are my go-to type of plays, for the most part, test things here and there. But I'm still like figuring out my playbook. I have the holding down. I couldn't tell you right now if I'm supposed to hold down or release when I've got an RPO. I can't remember to get the quarterback to keep it or hand it off. Kicking is definitely hard. Boudreaux, the trucker. Okay, what else we got? Oh, you want to talk about fall camp? So I've got some predictions on fall camp when it should start. By the way, if you want to read all the MLB draft stuff, all that is most recent Brady Taggart taken in the 12th round. But all Jackson McAfee has all that on HawgSports right now. So where is my prediction for fall camp schedule? So I think, again, this is not official. None of this is official. I think they're going to start on the 31st. Okay. I think it'll be July 31st. That's 29 days out from their season opener, which is the rule. They can have 25 practices over a 29-day period. So that's basically practicing every day but Sunday, and that gets you all the way up to the Wednesday before the game. So I think that's when they start. It'll technically end on the 17th, which is the Saturday before school starts on the 19th, but you still continue to practice. But technically camp lasts until school starts. I think they'll have scrimmages on the 10th and on the 17th, and they should be practicing in the morning. That's what they did last year. They did that really just to kind of get out of the heat. They were supposed to have air conditioning in the Walker Pavilion, which isn't like intense air conditioning. It's just not brutally hot. But they were supposed to have that, and it took forever for it to get going. So they kept having morning practices. Sam Pittman liked the morning practices. He ends up having people schedule their class load around spring so they can have morning practices in the spring, which I've never seen done before. So I would expect them for fall camp to also have morning practices until school starts. Unless they try to do that again, but it might be more difficult. I don't know. Maybe it won't be difficult. 25 practices over 29 days. 7 of the 25 practices, helmets only. 7-day acclimatization period. So it used to be 5 days a couple of years ago. Last year they changed it to 7. So that means 7 days before you can dress in full pads. 18 contact practices. 9 days of full pads. So among those 18 contact practices, up to 9 days in full pads. No more than 2 consecutive days of full contact practices. No more than 75 minutes of full contact work. No more than 2 scrimmages. A maximum of 120 players. That started last year, I believe, or is it just this year? It was 105, then it was 110, and now it's 120. So that's going to be pretty much everybody. They may add a few guys here and there, but that's pretty much a full squad. So I would expect on Monday, July 29th, again, this is just a projection. I think we'll have an interview with Sam Pittman and Ben Souders. On Tuesday, the 30th, players should report. On the 31st, the first day of fall camp. And on Saturday, August 17th, the last day of fall camp, which should be the second scrimmage. Again, the first scrimmage should be the 10th. Arkansas plays UAPB August 29th in Little Rock. All right, everybody. Is Dallas too long a drive from Fayetteville, says Tony Yayo? It is not. It is 5.5 hours. So I kind of have a threshold of 6 hours. And I say that I drove to Colorado. We drove to Colorado down and back last year, but for spring or earlier this year for spring break, but it's not too far of a drive. And to be honest with you, I should drive it. I just worked out this idea in my head that instead of paying $250 2 nights in a hotel, I would fly in and fly out for actually cheaper. I think my flight's like $400. So save $100, and it probably works out with the Uber there and back. It's probably about a wash. Anyway, that's how I played it out and justified it in my head, just to hop on a flight that's just an hour long, 45 minutes, hour. So anyway, that's what I decided to do. I got to get up. I got to be at the airport at 5 o'clock in the morning. So maybe I'm an idiot. That's not up for debate. All right, everybody. Appreciate you joining me. Thanks, Danny, for hopping on. And let me know in the comments here. Continue on with them. What you think about EA Sports College Football 25, Arkansas, what you like about the game, what you don't, all that stuff. And subscribe. Oh, you know what? I said I would read our Apple Podcast reviews, and I think I have some new ones. So I'm going to read them. I appreciate you guys. I'm trying to get to 1,000 reviews or ratings by football season. We are at 977, so we still got a ways to go. We need 23 more people to review the show. HawgSports says Ted Monson 30. Love the show. Listen every week. Go Hogs. Manny N. Brown says Trey and the crew will keep you updated all year round with the Hogs. He has been my go-to source to stay informed. Thanks, Trey, for a great show. Go Hogs. TEIDT 970 says great show. Love the takes. T Knight 244 says easy to be loyal, easily the best, most in-depth site show for Hog fans there is. Can't beat the amount of information I have access to. Go Hogs. We got a few more. So I really appreciate everybody. We actually have a lot here lately through the month of June. Into the month of June. So really appreciate everybody leaving the review. Take a moment if you haven't done so already. Get us to our goal of 1,000 by the time football season starts, and sign up at HawgSports at 50% off. If you like the show, you like what we do, you like the walk and talk, you follow all that kind of stuff, you like my segment on Drive Time, Danny's segment in the morning on Out of Bounds, then come check us out at HawgSports. That's where all of our best content is. HawgSports.com. There's no promo code. Breaks down to $103 a week, $448 a month, and build at just $53.70 for the entire year. Or you can sign up for just $1 right now. HawgSports.com, HawgSports.com. Part of the 24/7 Sports Network. All right, everybody. That's it. That's the show today. Appreciate you joining me. I'm going to go whip Texas A&M's ass on this college football game and do my week of Dynasty. All right, everybody. This has been Trey Biddy with HawgSports.com. We'll catch you next time.